So we have a big spring project to work on here. We have two hydrangea, and these are Hydrangea macrophylla or big leaf hydrangea. One of them is a Let's Dance Diva, and the other one is Blue Jangles. They are getting way too much sun here. There used to be a tree overhead, and the tree came down in a storm a couple of years back, and these hydrangea have been wilting in the afternoon sun ever since. And if you have a wilting hydrangea, it is not a happy hydrangea. And that repeated wilting will lead to repeated browning of the leaves and flowers, and as the season goes on, you will have an unattractive hydrangea. So we're going to move them. And Tom is endeavoring to dig this out. Now, it's early spring, and this is a great time before they've really budded up and they've really popped. They also have normally fairly shallow root systems, so we'll see what this one looks like when it pops out. Tom is using his King of Spades, which is a perfect shovel for this purpose. It's a very heavy, very straight-edged, sharp shovel, and it's got a foot pad on the side so that he really can push down on it easily.
Feels like it's going to split into a couple plants.
Which is okay too. It splits into a couple of plants. Hydrangea will tend to do that, especially if they've been growing somewhere for a while. You take them out and you'll find you'll have 2 or 3 hydrangea instead of 1.
Wow.
This is turning out to be a little bit harder than we thought it was going to be pulling it out. For whatever reason, it's really hanging in there.
Ah, there it is.
He popped it out. Oh, good. Wow. Again, the roots, they're not super deep, but it is a big plant, as you can see here. And I had cut this one back last fall in preparation for us taking it out so that there was less stuff on top for us to deal with. You want me to grab the other side?
Yes. Careful, there's pistachios all over this thing.
Pistachios.
And we still got a little ripping to do, I think.
Oh boy.
Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Go. Oh my
Yay.
gosh. Whoa. All right. Now we can move it to where it's going. So, where we are thinking of putting these hydrangea is over here, where they're going to be in the shade of this big beech tree. But in order to prepare this area, we had to remove some plants. And you can see I've got a big pile of stuff here. There were half a dozen volunteer spirea in this area. And by volunteer, ones that we did not plant that reseeded themselves. And spirea have become a bit of a nuisance in the yard here. They end up in all kinds of places where we don't necessarily want them. And ones that reseed themselves in the shade of a tree like this, you know, because they're in so much shade, they don't bloom very well either. So not the most attractive plants to have in that spot. So what we're probably going to have to do is maybe pop this in a spot, see how it looks, and then maybe move it around a little bit until we get to the right position. So because this hydrangea is the taller of the two, it doesn't look very tall because I cut it back in the fall, but we're going to put this on the lower part of the slope. There is a lot of rock down here, so I guess it's going to depend on how much Tom's able to dig.
Yeah.
Okay, we've managed to dig a hole that we think is big enough. Might be a little too deep, but the other thing that we're going to use is our biotone starter so that there's mycorrhiza in the soil. And we'll probably have to go and get some compost from the compost pile.
No, because there's a lot of leaf on top. That's giving it the illusion. Any carefully measured amount.
All right, there we go.
All right.
Time to fill it in. All right, so I dug up some nice compost from our compost pile. We have a big cold compost pile in the back of the property. And that stuff just looks lovely at this point. And while I was doing that, Tom actually dug out some of the rock in this area to create a little bit of a retaining wall, which will help with the fact that we're on a slope here. If we fill that in, that will help with water retention. And I'm feeling raindrops, Tom. I think this may be the last one for at least right now. We may have
I
to.
did a rain dance, so you wouldn't make me do the other one.
I bet you did.
I did. I
Okay. And we may not have to do much watering if we get a good shower here, but I will go get a couple of buckets full to throw on here, get it started. But you can see that that soil that he's throwing on there, look how nice, look how dark and black that is compared to the native soil that we dug out here.
It is, it's gorgeous.
Looks wonderful, Tom. All right, one down, one to go, but we'll hold off on the other one until it might be tomorrow. I mentioned when we were planting that last, or transplanting that last hydrangea, that we had gotten nice soil out of our cold compost pile. But when we were down by the compost pile area, we discovered, and we've seen this, but we never did anything about it before, that there were daffodils actually growing in the compost. How exactly they got there, I'm not sure. They got dug up somewhere along the way, but we decided to put them into pots, let them bloom here so we can see what they are, and then plant them out in the yard later. It has now been 2 days since we moved the first hydrangea and the rain chased us in, and now we are back doing the other one. But this one, Tom is going to have to remove this wall. The stack stone wall has been bowing outward, and we think that the roots of the hydrangea may have something to do with it. So before we start taking it out, we're going to make it hopefully a little easier by removing these blocks. We're also going to have to pull out these daffodils that were growing at the base of it. All right, nice.
Yeah, it was a good pick.
We're hoping that this one pops out a little easier simply because one side of it had been against those stones, and it looks like it is popping out pretty easy. Wow. Of course, picking that darn thing up to put it in the wheelbarrow is going to be a trick. Yes, I will help with that. Tom has tipped it out of the ground, but it is a really, really big root ball. So I don't know how well we're going to be able to handle this thing. Well, I wasn't able to catch it on film, but Tom and I were able to put the wheelbarrow on its side and then kind of slide the hydrangea into it. So it's ready to go to its new home. That hydrangea that we pulled out is so big, the root ball is so big, we've rethought where we're going to put it. And this is up on the corner of the crescent bed that is in the shade of a magnolia tree. This gets, dappled sunlight more than anything, but there are quite a few hydrangea up here doing well. So I have an open space. I'm going to move the bottle tree so we can work, and we're just going to put it up in this area. So this will be much easier to work with. More digging. Poor Tom. I don't think his rain dance is going to work today. What we did have in this area, and we dug them out, were some tall garden phlox that have been in too much shade and haven't bloomed in a few years, and the deer keep coming back and eating them, so I'm going to transplant them into the fenced-in area. Some of the soil that's in here has got to go. There's just a little too much to leave here, so...
And it's not good.
Yeah, and it's not the best soil either. So we're putting it in the wheelbarrow, and we're going to go dump it on that slope that we planted the last hydrangea on, and that we're trying to minimize a little bit. And the hole is big enough, so we just put some biotone in it, and it is time to slide that lovely hydrangea over. You got it? You need help?
Oh, I got it.
Wow. All right, here we go. It is planted. It's been filled in, and all it needs now is a couple of buckets of water to get it settled. But I'm thrilled that even though this one had a heavy pruning last year in preparation for moving it, there are green buds at the tips of these branches. So it didn't seem to mind the haircut, and it certainly didn't seem to mind the winter. So I think we're in good shape. In this video, we moved Hydrangea macrophylla, or big leaf hydrangea. And I do recommend moving this type of hydrangea when it's in a dormant or semi-dormant state, which makes early in the spring an ideal time. If you have to wait until the fall to move one, I would say you can do it, but I would make sure that you allow 6 weeks of time for the hydrangea to settle in before the ground starts to freeze. These were very big plants that we moved, and I did prepare them for the move by doing some pruning. I cut about 1/4 off the top, and then I went in and I actually removed any branches that were bending out on the sides so that it made a much more upright plant. That made it a lot easier to move. I also removed all of the dead material. As you can see, the roots were not terribly deep compared to the size of the plant, and if you're moving a much smaller hydrangea, you're going to find that it's going to be even easier than what we went through. I would not move it when the leaves are fully out or when the flowers have formed, because you're going to stress that plant and you may not be as successful. Thank you for joining us today, and I hope to see you next time on Gardening Genes. In the meantime, have a wonderful day in the garden. Bye.